So, Adam Audio have sent me a new set of speakers. I've been using Adam Audio for a good couple of years now. I've used them in multiple different studios and multiple different variations of their speakers. I'm currently using T7Vs. I previously used A7Xs and A77Xs in different studios I've worked in. But these are the new ones they've sent me. These are A7Vs. They're the updates to the A7X, which has been their main model for years. It's the one that's used in a lot of different studios. It's the one everybody loves. And they've finally got around to updating them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple of the different updates they've done, and then we're going to plug them in and check them out. So one of the first things they've done is they've updated the shape a little bit. They've added a few more angles on it, and it actually looks a bit closer to the T7V. So this is the, I'm not going to say this is the budget model, because that would do a huge disservice to it, but this is the lower price model. So this is what I've been using for the last 3 years, 2 years, 3 years, something like that. But now I'm upgrading to these guys. So I'm going to pull this back a bit so that I can actually see it. If you compare to the A7X and the A77X, which is the wider double version. So the obvious thing they've done is adjusted the shape of the ports so they're more flared, which gives you a smoother airflow coming in and out of it. And another cool little function they've added, M8 screw holes on the bottom. So a lot of mounted brackets give you options to screw in the speaker, but previous variations of the Adam series speakers haven't had these holes, so you've had to screw into the wood, which no one likes doing. So yeah, they've added these, and then they're going to be bringing out some brackets and stands to go along with them. Obviously they come with the Adam XR speaker, which is the reason I use Adam Audio, to be honest. The clarity of the high end and the smoothness of it with these things is just amazing, and I find it hard to mix on things that aren't an XR tweeter anymore. One of the cool things they've added to this is the ability to turn the XR speaker 90 degrees sideways. So, because not everybody uses their speakers upright like this. Some people, especially in a lot of studios with wider desks, will lay them flat down like this. The reason that's important is because of the way they've designed the XR tweeter. So the XR tweeter is designed to be somewhat wide on the horizontal plane, but quite narrow on the vertical plane, which is something you can kind of see in the moulding around it. Turning it sideways allows you to keep a horizontal plane as is intended. So another upgrade they've done to this is they've replaced the material they use in the cone to a mineral stone composite. Don't ask me exactly what that is, but I do know that it's supposed to be more durable, lightweight and rigid, and that can only be a good thing in speakers. Let's take a look at the back and see what we've got. So a couple of things you can see on the back, and you've obviously got your inputs and outputs down towards the bottom, and you've got your power switch right at the bottom of it. You can see an Ethernet port, we'll get into that later. The voicing switch, and there's a couple of EQ options. So the EQ options, there's bass reduction, it can go up by 2 dB or it can drop down by a couple. There's desk, presence and treble. So bass is if you've got too much bass sort of bouncing off the back around the room. Presence is based on the sort of size and shape of your room, so you'll have different reflections bouncing about, and it allows you to adjust the speakers to accommodate for the room you're in. Treble is quite self-explanatory. Desk is quite a cool one. When I flip this camera around now and we see a little bit later, you'll see that I've got quite a large desk in my studio, and this is exactly what it's for. They know that these are used in studios that have large desks and large mixing desks, and those are large slabs of wood that cause a lot of reflections, but they're quite predictable in the way that they're going to do these reflections. So they've added a little switch so you can start to remove the effect that your desk has on the sound of these speakers. That's a really cool addition. So the next thing we've got underneath is the voicing switch. So it has pure, UNR and external. Pure is what a lot of mastering engineers and that sort of stuff will be after. You're looking for a pure and clean representation of what the sound is actually like that's coming out. You don't want it coloured in any sort of way, and that gives you the option for that. UNR is a voicing that's designed to sound like the A7X. So it's the one that Adam Audio have thought that this is the best this speaker can sound. This is a really good sound that it'll push out of it, and this is the sort of tuning to be able to get that sort of sound. So external is something that we're going to get into in a little bit. But first of all, I'm going to set these up. I'm going to play a couple of songs through them and a couple of different mixes I've been working on. And I'm going to compare them to the T7Vs, and I'm going to compare them to my other reference monitors I use. Annoyingly, I'm not going to be able to show you me listening to these things because these are big hits that I've got used to over the years, and I use them to test on different speakers, and YouTube hit me with a copyright strike. But I'll give you my opinion after I've had a listen. But you can watch me set them up. Okay, so I've had a little time to have a listen to them, and not just with my own band's music, but with a lot of other music I use to test. I try and use the same songs to test on lots of different speakers. If I'm going to start mixing in a studio I haven't mixed in before, I'll have a listen to those tracks and see where I'm sitting. So my opinion on the speakers is, yeah, they're improved versions of the A7X series. It's exactly what they are. The highs are exactly what you'd expect from the XR tweeters, and these front ports just push out the bass in a way where you feel the bass, but it's never overpowering. It's not making things rattle. It feels right. It feels like the bass should. Something I really noticed when I was listening to my band music was it felt like being there with my band. It felt like what we sound like when we play. So I think that's a really good representation of how these speakers are really pushing them out. I had them in the flat setting, which is the sort of reference mode. But yeah, solid speakers, and I'm going to be happy with these for years to come. But they're going to get better. Now here's the interesting part that I was going to get into. So when I spoke about the external mode, and I pointed out that there's an Ethernet port on it, so there's a bit of software designed for these speakers, and that bit of software allows you to add your own EQ setting to it. So instead of just using the couple of buttons on the back, you can create your whole own EQ setting based on how you like the sound in your room. With the Ethernet cable then you can load that in, and then that's your third option, that stays stored on the speaker, so you don't have to run your own extra bit of software on your computer every time you're mixing, and you know the speakers are always going to stay the same way you've set them up. I was going to show you that bit of software, but these speakers are so new to the point where that software isn't actually out yet. It says it's out in September. I'm filming this in September, but the way my luck tends to work, the day I publish this video, it'll come out the next day. So there's a couple of videos, I'll post a link below to a video someone's done of that bit of software. It's like the Adam promotional thing, showing what that bit of software can do. But the extra cool thing it can do is it links in with SonarWorks. This is SonarWorks. So for those who don't know, and I imagine there's quite a few who don't know, a lot of you will know, SonarWorks is a bit of software that tunes your mix to your room. So you pick up a SonarWorks reference microphone and you place this in different points around your room while you're running a certain test track, and that creates a profile, and that profile is essentially an EQ curve of what the speakers need to do to adapt to your room, and it gives you that profile, and you put that on the end of your mix when you're mixing, and then switch it off and all that kind of stuff. But what these speakers allow you to do is take that SonarWorks reference profile and load them in as your external one. So as soon as that bit of software is out, I'll be getting my SonarWorks sound reference microphone and I'll be tuning my room to it, so I know that these speakers are perfectly suited to my room. And so that concludes my review of my new speakers. I'd wholeheartedly recommend them. I've always recommended Adam to anyone that wants to get into a set of speakers when they're looking for a new set of studio speakers. I've always been a complete mark for Adam Audio, and it's really good to have a connection with them now and be able to try out their new speakers as they're being launched. Yeah, brilliant speakers. I keep looking down because my old T7Vs are sat on the floor in front of me, and I'm trying to decide what I want to do with these. So yeah, I'm probably going to hook them up downstairs and use as a second set of hi-fi speakers. But yeah, The A7V series, brilliant set of speakers. So are these, by the way. Yeah, so I'm going to put these down so you don't think these are the A7Vs. These are the T7Vs, also an amazing set of speakers. Yeah, the A7Vs, brilliant set of speakers. I'm well impressed. Well done, Adam.